What's good, everybody, and welcome back to the Rockin' Beards podcast.
What's up?
It's episode 20. It's your boy HSR, and joining me is Sid.
What up? I'm Sid. We just hit a milestone, 20 episodes.
That's
This is
true.
my third.
And Jay couldn't be with us today due to some unfortunate circumstances that aren't dire, but he needed some time to go take care of them, understandably so. And as a result, Sid and I will have to hold it down this time.
We're going to miss him.
And given the album we wanted to review this week, it got pushed till next week, so we'll probably do it then. And it seemed like there was virtually nothing. I couldn't find any of the albums that were supposed to come out. Do you know what did come out, Sid? Sid, why don't you tell us what came out?
All right, I'll tell you what came out. What came out this week was the album that Holden has been most excited about for literally his entire life. Every single volume has been like...
It's been like an exhilarating experience, to be honest. I am quite enthralled with this series, even if I don't always like the work.
All right, so the series is Punk Goes Pop. We're at volume number 7. So...
Yeah, no, the Punk Goes series, because it's not like the series is Punk Goes ... right?
Oh, really? There's others?
There's
Shit,
Punk
I didn't
Goes,
even realize
so it starts with, I think, Punk Goes Metal, and it's all a bunch of metal covers. Then there's Punk Goes Pop,
Okay.
Punk Goes Hip Hop, Punk Goes fucking 90s, Punk Goes 80s, Punk Goes 70s, Punk Goes Classic Rock, Punk Goes Christmas, and then the 7 volumes of the pop, and there are 2 volumes of the 90s. Seriously, volume 2 of the 90s has some bangers on it. Like the cover of the song Torn, the like, I'm all out of faith. This is how I feel. Dude, the cover of that song is like, it is as emotionally charged as the original. And so across the way, I've never consistently liked every song on a single album because it's kind of just covers thrown together by different bands that are affiliated with Fearless Records. And
you know what I love, though? I love a cover that captures the essence of the original. Like, it doesn't necessarily have to be the same thing, but as long as it captures the feeling and the emotion and the charge.
So you know who does that really well as a side note, just to plug in a good cover band that I've discovered recently? If you're into bluegrass at all, Steven Seagal's. I'm going to link one of their tracks or one of their albums below. And honestly, they recreate the songs but capture the essence in just enough to make it there, but almost completely recreate it. But that's not punk. That's bluegrass. So maybe you don't like it. Maybe you do.
I don't know. Let's talk about some punk, though.
Yeah, no. I don't know. There's not really a lot to say in terms of the series, except it's a large collection of covers. Like, they've got like 15 to 20 albums now. And if you're into that sort of thing, just cherry pick, man. You're going to find a whole bunch of shit that you're going to like. I guarantee you Sid's going to go looking after it now. He's just going to be too curious.
It's going to be my next 2 weeks. Just calling in sick to work, listening to the Punk Goes series, like binging a TV show.
But look at the ridiculous fucking album cover.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of it.
I mean, I feel like it's making fun of itself a bit at this point.
I guess. Like, it looks like a 2000s kind of like, remember that NSYNC video, Pop?
Yeah.
It literally looks like, without the lights, the giant prop up that they had, the giant word pop.
But with, like, the hands of an EDM festival. It makes
for no reason.
Yeah,
really.
I don't know. I mean, I guess I'm not here for the covers per se, right? Like, it's probably whipped
we're
it together.
reviewing the thing, so
I'm
we got to
just
review the whole thing.
So I'm taking it in general with, I mean, I like
cover gets a 2 on 5 from me.
Yeah, it's pretty whatever. It gives me nothing. It's so generic that the only thing about it that I'm going to pay attention to is the title, Punk Goes Pop, which I like. I like the series title. If it wasn't called Punk Goes This, I doubt I would have ever encountered it in the first place, and it was that alone that drew me in and got me excited before just hearing, oh, more pop songs done? Yeah. I'm like, I often like pop songs, but hate the style they're performed in. So what I was hoping for here was some recreations of or pop songs with the beautiful essence of good punk, or at least alt punk, or other kinds of punk. But, well, we'll get to it in detail, but
spoilers.
Take a look at what the wiki list album, for it says in terms of genres. It's clearer there. It doesn't look very promising for the kinds of punk I am particularly interested in, but let's do this.
Let's do it. So
the first, first.
Oh man,
Stitches.
This one had me in stitches. Those Stitches by State Champs and originally by
Shawn Mendes. I made sure to write down all of the original artists.
Good, because I will not remember.
So first of all, I fucking hate the Stitches song by Shawn Mendes, because it's... My criticism of the song is it's generic fluffy pop, like the original.
Yeah.
And the lyrics are like a 14-year-old wrote them, and it's just kind of weak sauce, right? So it's catchy, and that's all it is. It's not even good catchy. It's like shit candy from the dollar store. Not the good brands, but like the knockoff brands that are just shit.
Yeah, it's cool though when you're doing a review like this, like when you're reviewing covers, it's almost a different set of rules.
Yeah.
Because like you're not reviewing the artist's songwriting ability, you're reviewing the song as a song, and you're reviewing the artist's ability to appropriate that song into their own style.
So on that note,
yeah,
I am totally impressed with what State Champs here did with this song, because Shawn Mendes' song is boring. But my first comment was, wow, this has life in it.
Yeah, I also prefer this to the original. I think it's a great way to start off the record. I think it comes in strong. And they give a lot more power to the melodies than the original does.
But the lyrics are still weak, and this is no offense to the cover, right? This is just kind of the song they chose. And it got, it's kind of, it just flows in. I don't know if there was screaming in this one. I couldn't remember. But it just kind of, felt like it kind of paid very close to the roots of the song, but just kind of altered the style to a more pop-punky, alive feel to it. It felt like just as safe and fluffy as the original, but I could listen to it. But, if this came on, I'm not going to necessarily turn it off. I might even now start singing along, right? I would actually learn the words. If this had been the song, I would have liked it a little more, you know?
This one, honestly, this one gets a 4 from me. I know it's going to get lower from you, but I really like the cover. I think they did it really well. Again, for love songs, I don't usually care about the lyrics, and then unless they're the most Carly Rae Jepsen of the Carly Rae Jepsen.
I feel like this is a Carly Rae Jepsen level.
That's fair.
Song.
That's fair. But I think in context of the album and the way it opens it, the way it opens it up, and the way it gets things going, I dig it.
So I give it a 3.5 on 5, because objectively, it's not boring, but it's not good. It's kind of in that middle ground where it's there and it does what it's supposed to do really well. And speaking of opening the album with this choice, I kind of why this song? There's just better pop that's come out. Maybe it was just about rights.
But you know what? I think it's the kind of song that the non-punk fan can pick up and turn around and, oh, these songs, that's what I like. That's your style and go never leave.
So like I was saying about the choices of songs on the album, I find the choice of that shitty Shawn Mendes song to be just not worth covering. But to take a Bruno Mars song, like we've done here, and I don't know who the fuck Dance Gavin Dance is, but they took on a Bruno Mars song. And that's worthy of covering, right? That's a challenge. That's you're, even if you don't necessarily hit, at least I can respect you for not taking the safe 15-year-old fluffy pop song and trying to do that guy, you know? And so I respect it, because there's so much great pop out there. Don't be boring with your song choices. And there was a couple of song choices for this album that were why couldn't you go to the 70s or the 80s or the 90s or any other era of fucking pop? It didn't necessarily all have to be pop that's come out recently, which is something we'll come to see. Yeah. So that would be my criticism of the Shawn Mendes versus this was cool. I don't think I've ever heard the real version of That's What I Like. At all. And so I don't know, it started off, and I'll be honest with you, the music, beautiful. Yeah. The scream, Buddy is not a good screamer. Listen, internet, if you're his fans and shit, come at me. I don't care. You might like his screaming. I thought his screaming, maybe it was just that it didn't fit, but I didn't think he was overly talented at it either.
So the thing about this track, right, and the thing about most Bruno Mars tracks is that it's the whole package is put together almost at 100% perfection, right? Because the guy runs his music everything down to the sample, everything down to the way the second verse he does that little vocal lick that kind of elevates it. To start a song off like this with screaming over that rhythm and that melody, and the band plays it so well. And then just to cancel that out, like, I'm a huge metal fan. I love screaming. I don't even mind this guy scream. I think it's fine, but just to open it up like that, I felt like it was so out of place and so ridiculously
it's not good enough for Bruno Mars.
It's not good enough for Bruno Mars, but the rest of the cover is really well done.
Fantastic. I admit that, like, it starts off kind of shitty to me because it does, in my opinion, but then he starts singing.
Dude's a great singer.
And you're like, whoa.
And not only that, but he nails the harmonies and he gets the softness and the smoothness. Like, he's got that down. And
the screams move to the back layer for the rest of the song. They never
the
come
double
back
bass
to the
comes
front,
in and then you hear the sweeping guitar line.
Works.
And, yeah,
like,
it
when
works.
the screams were behind his melody, kind of giving almost a harshness to contrast, it was like, okay. Yeah, I see you. You're doing okay here. But when you're just screaming without the beauty that this song almost requires, it hurt it.
You got to respect the song you're covering, right?
Exactly.
And, like, to respect a Bruno Mars song, if you're gonna try and step to that, like, honestly, the king of modern pop, or one of the royalty.
I honestly, I'm not the biggest fan of what Bruno Mars does. Generally, he has lots of awful songs to me, but when he does this type of vibe, it's like this magical experience type shit where he's trying to capture you in the night and put you in a groove. And the rest of the song, this cover, I mean, does that for me.
Yeah, it does it. And I especially like in the chorus how they bring it down to, like, that little snappy, like,
and I can honestly...
Because Bruno Mars brings it up in his original version. Here they've chosen to do the opposite. They bring it down a little bit, which is cool. Sorry.
No, that's respectable, but it's weird. Like, this song, I could honestly see with the right gothic chick or whatever, putting this on a date. And it could work with the right girl to create the right atmosphere, because it is it does capture that essence of, like, love and fun. And just to hear these dudes saying shit like swishers and stuff in the middle, I enjoy it when guys who probably never say this shit, and if they do, I apologize, who rarely say this shit in their music, like, say such ridiculous Bruno Mars-y stuff. That part was so cute to me. I enjoyed this one significantly more. This one got a 4. This, like, was bumped up.
This one gets a 3.5 from me. Just because the screaming in the verse is just so out of place and it just doesn't make sense.
But for me, though, if that wasn't there, man,
it'd be great. It would be great because the song is great. It's a great song. So if you do a great song well, then there's not much that you can say about it. I feel like they missed an opportunity to really dig in and get that, like, those extra feels.
All right. But the truth is, they just wasn't gangsta enough for that.
Fucking good. I really like that song.
I can say I've never heard the original to this, right? I did see that the original... Hold on, I fucking wrote the name down. It is by Kehlani, who I now know the name of because of this album, and I did not previously know that. And
thanks, Punk Goes Pop Volume 7.
See the beauty of Punk Goes Pop. And then I checked out, and apparently this song was from the Suicide Squad soundtrack, a movie I'm not going to watch, let alone have not seen. And as a result, I didn't know what to expect, but it's called Gangsta, so instantly I was intrigued. And I wasn't expecting it to be like this girl singing about the desire to have this gangsta badass motherfucker come and take her and shit because she needs it. So I'm not it's not really about criticizing the original lyrics or whatever because it's the cover. Right. But still, I wasn't sure what to expect at all. So I was like, okay, that's cool. But to hear those words over that gloominess, like it's eerie. Yeah. It's got this almost offset, corrupt, dark feel to it.
It reminds me of, like, A Perfect Circle, Chevelle, Tool, like, those alt-rock bands that, like, brought it to a little bit. But with a girl, yeah. Like, she's got a great voice.
I loved it. I was like...
Yeah.
And it fit right well, because she took this song and made it just so beautiful, melancholy types. It's like Hamlet in music form, almost.
And you know what? Like, the song is really repetitive, too, but it never got boring. This cover never got boring.
Like, this is, like, the first one that I've heard that really excited me. And this is what happens with this series, I find. Maybe you're like, okay, whatever, okay. And then you hear one, and it's just like, wow.
Yeah.
And that was this song for me. I am really excited. I'm honestly now willing to go check out both Kehlani and New Year's Day, the group that created this cover, because of how interesting it was.
Yeah.
This one's gonna be in my playlist for a minute. I'm not even gonna lie. It's hard to really comment a lot except for what I've said in terms of the actual structure. I don't know if you have other ideas on this one.
I mean, I just gotta give my rating. I'm gonna give it a 5.
5? I give it a 4.5. Honestly, I don't know what it was missing. It wasn't a 5, but it was a 4.5, and it was really great.
You plussed it, man.
Yeah, I plussed lots of stuff because I could listen to this on repeat. It almost feels like, though, a little on the safe side. Like, there's nothing.
Pop.
There's nothing. I know. But I've heard some of these covers that really take the song and bring it to a new level. And maybe this may have even happened here.
Yeah, that's not fair. You never heard the original.
Right. That's what I said. Maybe it has happened here. But for me, just hearing this,
so, okay,
it wasn't the most...
just so we're keeping track, Holden is giving this song a 4.5. He's docking a point because he doesn't know what's up. That's what's happening. That's it. That's all.
No.
He doesn't...
It's not that I don't really... It's not that. Sometimes the song just strikes you in a way where you could hear this thing at any minute of any day, and it's truly magnificent. And this song is almost like you kind of have to be in a little bit more of a morosey, certain atmospheric feel to it, right? And I guess in my rating, the ability to transcend an emotion versus having to be in a state to hear it is a half of a point's worth of difference in terms of my reviewing. It's just, okay, I was maybe being lazy with my ability to articulate that earlier, but maybe I didn't even know and we just had this epiphany together. Either way, what's really true is that I can't feel my face when I'm with you. I really like The Weeknd's Can't Feel My Face. I really, really do. I think it is one of the best cheesy pop songs I've heard in a long, long time. Even now, because I only got into it last year, so for me it's kind of new. But the Affinity Affliction took this song, and they made a music video for this song, which all I can really remember is the girl who fell onto the knife or whatever. It was kind of weird.
It was like a pole. It was zombies. It was zombie shit.
It was kind of playing, I guess, on the original video. But this song just felt off kilter to me. The screams were a mistake in this track because they didn't fit and it just hurt it the whole way through.
I actually disagree on this one. I think the screams, because this is a darker track, I think they fit more than they did on the Bruno Mars one, where it was just so light and poppy and happy and dancey, and then there's just these random screams right out in front.
But what I mean is that I don't know, maybe you're right, but I just feel like it didn't work for me, and maybe it's biased because of how much I like the Bruno Mars, and that's sometimes the problem with the cover. But I feel like it came in really okay musically, and then it just it didn't capture the essence of the original song due to the screams, right? And then the singing tried to, right? It really tried to sing a bit like and bring it back, and so you have this contrast of almost generically going in one, and it was the problem with the other one when he screamed. It's this generic sound where it's like, if you're gonna be here, you gotta do this, is what I kind of started feeling about this song. And so it didn't feel organic. The way the Bruno Mars dude had it, the backing vocals kind of felt organic and created a beautiful... This didn't do that. It felt almost distracting, and I was feeling what they did with the music. It changed it. It was okay. Now it's more rock and harsher and shit. And then I just felt like the screams were a cop-out move instead of actually trying to make the song more interesting from maybe a slight altered melody or changed patterns. And they tried to do that, but everything felt forced.
That's fair. I also, I wasn't big on this one either, and I agree that it kind of fell flat. I don't know if I feel like it fell flat for the same reasons. I think they tried to take it in a direction that, a lot of generic alt-rock songs will go. And I wasn't as big a fan of the original track either. I really like The Weeknd. I think this song is really, really repetitive, and it got a little old for me after a couple listens, and I don't think this cover really does much to fix that. That Gangsta song was really repetitive, but the cover was still really interesting all the way through. And this one, they just kind of they went through the motions. It was a little too clean. And that's my complaint with a lot of this record too, is that it's a little too clean to be called a punk record. Even though it's punk goes pop, it's still there could be a little bit of a more natural raw edge to it, and this one is really fucking produced, and the drums just come in so precise and so on point that it's like, why even change the rhythm? Just keep the dance rhythm. You know what I mean? Like, you could have kept the screams and kept the dance rhythm, and it still would have been a darker song, and it still would have gotten people bobbing their heads.
Hell, you could have even thrown in a solo or some other shit.
Why not?
And you know what? I would have accepted that because that's you adding your flair to it. But here,
taking it and making it your own instead of just like
if this is the sound of the Affinity Addiction or whatever, the Affliction,
yeah.
If this is their sound, to me it sounds like virtually every band on the come up in this genre of music I've ever heard, and there was nothing here to make me want to go click on like their link on Spotify and go even see what they look like. Like,
yeah,
I went and looked at what the girl in the band from the New Year's Day looked like. I got curious, and it made me curious. Even
because she's a fucking amazing singer.
Gavin, dance. I was a little curious.
Dude's a great fucking singer.
Couldn't care less about the first song.
Yeah, the Stitches.
Yeah,
not down.
But this one, no, there was nothing here. This was generic fluff, and the only reason I would even care about it is so I could sing along.
Yeah. So, I mean, this one gets a 2.5 from me.
I gave it a 3.5 on 5 because...
Just a nice guy.
Because it's not shitty. It really is the screams that I didn't like. And that's my grievance with the songs. If they were to just clip out the screams and just add clean vocals or do something with it like that, it would have been a 4. And then if they'd been additive with it, maybe a 5.
Do you think we would have liked this song better when we were young?
Yeah, probably.
It was just like a song.
Damn, that was good.
This was a pleasant surprise. Again, haven't heard the Adele track. I don't even know if Adele featured somebody on it, so maybe it did, maybe it didn't, but they did. So it starts off with Buddy singing, and it's pleasant. It's like no screams, no aggressiveness that's unnecessary. It's just a pop song being almost delivered in like a pop song fashion. It didn't feel very punk at all, actually.
No, it really didn't.
That didn't hurt the cover. Just
it's a bit of a weird choice as an inclusion on this collection. But yeah, it's a really good cover. I don't know, man. Like the interplay between the two singers is just it's great to listen to.
She has a great voice.
Yeah, they both have really nice, like, different contrasting voices.
Andy Black and like Julie Sims, I believe.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was like I could picture the duettiness. I could picture them both on a stage singing to each other in like one of those very formal settings where I have to wear a black tie or something.
Yeah. Like I was saying, it reminds me of the new Linkin Park track Heavy, and the way that Chester Bennington and Kiara play off each other on that track. And the atmosphere, like the music reminds me of that music too. Like it's still dark, but it's not like metal dark. It's like
it's pop. This was like a ballad, like maybe a rock ballad or something like that. Like,
yeah. And it was a nice place to put it too. Track 5, like right in the middle there, bring it down a little bit.
It was definitely a pleasant reprise from, I guess, some of the more forced sounds that were coming, because as a track, it's just an all-around good, well-composed track. And frankly, if Adele hadn't written it and I just heard this on the radio, I would have just thought it was it. It was the song, you know? It wouldn't have been like, this is clearly a cover, like in some of the other cases, right? I don't know, I give it a 4. I thought it was decent. That was definitely something I could listen to in certain settings. Just it's not really my cup of tea for like a regular Tuesday.
I'm gonna go ahead and give it a 5 again, just because I can't really fault it. I think all the performances are solid. It's a good track. It's well written. I like Adele too, and I don't think that they didn't take anything away from it. They did justice to the song. They did justice to her, and they made it their own. So yeah.
All right, yeah, that's fair enough. I guess you should love yourself.
I'm better sleeping on my own. 'Cause if you like the way you...
So first and foremost, with the release of Purpose, I became a believer. All right? So I'm all about like this. Granted, I didn't necessarily like Love Yourself because it's on the slower, calmer kind of whatever. It's not like Sorry or one of those really fun boppy songs. It's the other side. It was just good. You know, everyone has their opinions of that shit. But it was a sweet, well-rounded song. And you know what was missing? it was missing whatever Grayscale here did to this track, because they brought this life and this fun energy to it, and all of a sudden I'm like, okay, and I'm almost like singing along because I do like the track and it's a cute little song, and they do it such perfect justice. They don't try to create what Justin did exactly, but they don't even change it very much. They just throw on their flair and enhance the fuck out of it to make it a genre of music I happen to prefer.
Fair enough. I fucking love this song. Like, I love the original. When I heard this, it was something that was on my playlist for days, if not weeks. Honestly, like, I was never the biggest fan or hater of Justin Bieber before this track came out, but this one has just got this quiet, naked vulnerability to it that I never expected from him, and I love everything about it. This cover is cool.
Right.
I really dig the song, so I'm not gonna hate it. I felt like they jumped up and down a little too much between energies, where the original kind of keeps the same vibe while still with the trumpets in the middle. Like, everything is minimal, but you still feel the rise and fall of energy, and the climax of the song still works. Whereas this one, I felt like it maybe didn't, the resolution wasn't as satisfying as the original version. I dig the pop punk and going into it, but I felt like they could have kept it a little more on the downside. But again, I
don't know, man. It made me feel like it could have now been a Blink song almost. And
yeah.
I really appreciated that, because for me, it's an interest thing, right? Justin Bieber, in my opinion, is a fantastic dude for what he does. And
yeah.
Because of what he does is out of the sphere of what I like, I'm not going to actually dig all the slower love ballads he writes. And I agree with you on the vulnerability. Even as I was saying, like, I remember dating that one girl that my mom didn't like, and she fucking likes everyone. And I guess you have, like, that almost, like, you've been there on this song. And just delivered like this, I fucking loved it. But it didn't hit perfect. It was just really great. It was an almost perfect song to me. 4.5 on 5.
I give it a 3.5, because I really, really, really like the original a lot, and
I wonder what the correlation is between, in general, how much you love the original and your ability to love the cover of a song.
Well, it's not just that, right? Like the original got skyrocketed to the tops of the charts. It wasn't a dance track, even though the video is like a really, really nice dance piece. It wasn't a dance track, but it skyrocketed to the top of the pop charts because it was this cute little ballad that wasn't necessarily the most morose or the most overdramatic. It was just a nice little honest little song about saying goodbye to a girl that you don't necessarily respect the way you used to respect anymore. You know, that's a feeling that we can all kind of relate to, unfortunately. And I felt like this version took that original sentiment and kind of tried to give it a little too much anger. You know what I mean? A little too much intensity, and it didn't really play the balance between the emotions.
So what you're saying is, if I understand correctly, that there was a lot of fake love involved in that song.
Hey. From the bottom, now we're here.
Okay, like, we reviewed More Life actually on the channel, and so I heard Fake Love already, and I didn't like it. I like the idea of it, actually. It's one of the more, I feel, honest songs Drake wrote, and just the idea of fake people being around him and shit. I believe him when he writes stuff like that. But that weird, fluffy kind of beat he had under it just kind of felt like maracas on a beat. And I was like, okay, it's just, I get it. People love Drake. I'm not one of those people. I do think he has talent. I just don't love his shit. But this was what I was hoping for a lot. Like, when you hear a cover that is the song, like, I heard him come in and I was like, wait, what song is that? And then I went and heard the Drake track. I was like, oh yeah, that one. But he does it in such a way where he almost recreates the experience. And they have the screamings and the rappings and more rhythms than I was expecting.
Yeah.
And more song structuring than it was like, this is what I was looking for this whole time on this album, and we're finally here at the literal halfway point with Drake.
I fully agree. I don't care ever about Drake. He's got that one song that's funny to do the dance to about the cell phones, but like, I never felt that his music was necessarily real. I always feel like he's coming from a place where it's like, this is marketed to make money with this demographic, and this fucking cover just took Drake's song and flipped it on its head in a way that, again, I was hoping for a lot on the rest of this album. It's like, it's fucking punk rock as hell. They're just screaming the shit out of this. It's got a lot of crazy drum rhythms, a lot of crazy dissonant chords going on in the guitar playing, and the song structure is like they're playing with it. They're playing with the rhythms. They're having fun with it. Like
when you're screaming about fake fuckers being around you and shit, and the frustrations of it makes sense. It's not like. And, I can see how you might be like, well, Holden, you said earlier on the podcast, fuck that shit. This is really well done. I don't know who Capsize is, but I'm curious now. I mean, it's totally, I don't know that I could go bump this a lot, but the idea of a band like this taking a song like that, and imagine if they did Hotline Bling. Fuck, it would make it a good song, too.
That'd be fucking great.
They could take that, Best I Ever Had. They could make that fun, too. And I would love to just see Capsize cover more Drake songs as the end result of this, for me,
or fucking someone, I'd see these guys covering Can't Feel My Face.
You know what? You're right.
Yeah.
Fuck it. The whole next album should be Capsize.
They should do this, because... honestly, I felt this song way more than I felt Drake singing his own lyrics. These guys... felt what they were putting forward.
Who knows? Maybe they're going through comparable things, and I don't know. I gave this a 4.5 on 5. It's really experimental, and there are a couple of pieces here and there where it's okay. So the flow, a little bit obstructed, but not in a way I disrespect. It's I respect and admire what they're doing. I agree with the punk rockness, and it just hit near 95%.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? I'm giving a lot of 5s just because these are covers, and I guess I'm a little looser about it than I would be on an album of original stuff. So I'm gonna give this one another 5. I dug it. It was a great fucking cover.
Excellent cover.
They took it. They made it their bitch. They didn't just make it their own. They fucked this song, and they made it come all over the place. I'm sorry, I don't know if you can put that in there. You might edit that out. We can put that in there. Sup, but
yeah, it was I was riding high, and then I saw what the next track on the album was, and I'm a huge 21 Pilots fan, so Heathens is the next one, and yeah.
That was funny, because it was a joke.
So I have a serious grievance with how these guys, who are the Boston Manor, chooses to start this song. And my grievance is it's fucking the same thing as 21 Pilots. Almost up until the first chorus, and even including it, it's a little different, but it's practically the same thing. And I'm okay, whatever. It's kind of a less good version at this point. And then the second verse starts, and they just do a full 180, rewrite shit, fucking upbeat drums, fucking just keep going with the lyrics. The same vocal patterns, and that was cool. But the rest of the song's fucking great. The rest of the song flips it up and does experimental shit and really brings an energy to it that is not 21 Pilots that I appreciated. But what a fucking lame start, for real.
Yeah. Again, I love the original too. It's a great track, and I feel like they could have tried to do something a little different with it a little earlier to try and make it their own. Because it's a little boring, and it's not something that a lot of people are gonna listen up until the point where they really do change it and make it their own and bring it to that next level. Because they don't do 21 Pilots as well as 21 Pilots does 21 Pilots, right?
Nah, but
so they try to fuck with that for a long time.
That's a third of the song just sounds like a lukewarm fucking version of them. It's like a warm beer.
Yeah.
And then you get a cup halfway in the middle that is one of those icy cups, and you pour your beer into that cup so it gets nice and cold again. And that's the second verse. Because honestly, dude, it's just fantastic.
Yeah, the transition is weird, but yeah, after that point, it just gets it's so heavy and just so frantic, and the outro is really nice too. Over that, he's just screaming over that really soft kind of come down. It almost has
you can feel the disparity of being a heathen, and they find this emotional energy that they can bring to it. The screams make sense when they bring it. The way they scream the second chorus is just that's what you should have just done.
Yeah, it just grabs you and takes you with it.
Had they started this song with that excessive screaming in the whole first verse, I think I would have liked it. Because it kind of makes sense. My friends, that would...
it felt like they felt like they had to lead people into that for whatever reason, and I don't think they did. So yeah, I'm with you.
So for me, 3.5 on 5, because when it got good, I would listen to this shit for a minute and a half or whatever it was to get to how good the rest of the song was. But you're right. Most people are probably going to click on it.
The attention span is nothing.
And then if you were feeling that first part, it's about to fuck you in the ass.
And it's also hard. Like, it's 8 tracks into the album too, right? So people are starting to get a little more like, click happy, kind of like, I'm going to skip this if it doesn't right away grab my attention.
But to be fair, I imagine with something like a compilation album like this, you're already cherry picking from the beginning before you're really delving into the listen through.
Fair enough. This one gets a 4 from me because I really do like the rest of the track. I think that when they do kick it up a notch, it just gets great. It's a great cover, and again, it's a really well written song, so they had a lot to play around with.
The more I think about it, it's one of the more well composed tracks in terms of actually bringing. Like, if you have one song on an album to showcase 3 or 4 styles of what you can fucking do, this song is one of the best examples on an album of like, flossing effectively on your opportunity on the Punk Go series.
Well, what's cool, too, is 21 Pilots already have a little bit of a punk rock vibe to what they do. Like, they bring a little hip-hop, they bring a little punk rock into that pop mentality, and it's really cool to hear it done in this heavier setting, and to hear that great song taken in a lot of other different directions too. So like in that sense, I guess it makes sense that they kind of establish what the original song was before they go and zigzag through like.
It's like from like let's say a political point of view. Yeah, I completely agree with you, but it just didn't feel like it just didn't feel right. It hurt the song. I'm gonna stand by that.
I mean, look, maybe it's just you tell them the shape. The next song is Ed Sheeran.
Shape of your heart. Shape of your heart.
It's Shape of You.
Oh, is it Shape of You?
Shape of You. Shape of Your Heart is
You're right.
BSB.
I'm in love with your body. Every day discovering something brand new.
Let's talk about how much you hate Ed Sheeran.
I don't hate Ed Sheeran. I don't like Shape of You. I just feel like it's better sang by a woman is my general feelings. It's like the song is so good. I just don't want to see Ed singing it. So it's not about the quality of the song. It's about the short-headed ginger little goofy guy who I love him for so many different things. I want to see him as the sweet romantic guy with the candlelight dinners and all of that shit. I don't really want to see him sweaty in the club trying to pick up the chick. And I know he says he's going to the bar because the clubs are a bad place. So sweaty in the bar, drinking with his boys, meets a girl, let's fuck.
No, because the second verse is 1 week in, we let the story begin, we go out on our first date, but you and me are thrifty, so we hit up the buffet, fill up your bag while I fill up the plate. We talk for hours and hours about the sweet and the sour and how your family are doing okay. Then we get in the taxi, we kiss in the backseat, tell the driver let the like it's about the beginning of a relationship. Yeah, it started to happen in a bar, but it's about like I love your body and I love the time we spend together and I love the wacky like I love it. Like I love Ed Sheeran a lot. I love this track. I think it's really well written.
I don't know. I don't like thinking of Ed Sheeran having sex.
So don't. But
I can't help it on his songs. I know, but I like his sweet songs and his. Like, I met a girl in the Irish town and we had a good old jolly time type song.
Galway Girl.
Yeah, I really like that one. And I like Eraser was fucking great. And, like, I like a lot of what he does. This song just, it felt like a little bit of a pandering sellout move when Ed did it. For me, y'all can love it.
Like, I've checked, I've looked at the way this song is written. Like, I've looked at the chord structure and I've looked, like, it's a really well written song from a musical standpoint. And from a lyrical standpoint, I think, I mean, Ed Sheeran is a great lyricist.
Completely agreeing with you.
So I think.
So it's the performer behind it that got in my problem with it. It was never about the song. Had like, Fair I don't know, Shakira sang this shit, I'd have been like, damn. And I really want a girl singing this song, and that's what we got with this cover.
I hated this cover.
I was totally lukewarm with this cover.
Like, she's got a good voice. Again, it's way too fucking clean. She's got voice editing all the way through, and you can hear it in the way that the notes lock in instead of just like sounding like a voice singing. And they took the rhythm from the original and they threw it out the door, and again, points for originality, but it lost so much soul.
So like it's like there's parts of the song that are really okay, and then there's which you shouldn't, like that part which you obviously can sing better, but they shouldn't have put that in and tried to capture so much of the essence of the original while, like you said, chucking it away, because it kind of felt like almost like a patched wine bag rather than a beautiful,
That's
luxurious
it.
thing.
That's it. Like, they couldn't decide whether they were going to do the original or make it their own, and they kind of didn't do either.
While trying to do both.
And it falls so flat. Like,
yeah, I mean, I'm okay with the song. Like, it's just...
It gets listenable. Like, but that's not what you want from a compilation like this, right?
Like, there's not enough bangers so far on this album, and you're like going when you see this, you know Shape of You's coming when you look at the track list. So you're like, all right, this is like it's a hand me fucking song. Like, how do you fuck this up?
Yeah, I mean, it's simple enough to play.
It's like
there's a lot of room to play around with. They could have fucking did what the last band did and fucking put a bunch of random drum rhythms under it, fucking took it in that direction, or they could have just made it soft and sweet. But it's not heavy enough to be heavy. It's not angry enough to be angry.
And it's not
just
dancey enough to be with the... Like,
exactly.
Look, for all criticisms of the original, if that shit comes on when you're faded, you just want to, like... You can't help it. It's so fucking good.
It's so good.
I'm just criticizing it because I'm a hater.
Yeah.
Not because of any real reason here. But this I'm criticizing because it didn't rub me in the right way as I went through it. It was kind of like, all right, if that was played live at their show, right, and it was unexpected and it wasn't on an album... I'd be okay with even this performance because it would just be like
it would get some
quirky.
cheers. It would get some cheers. But you're like, this is the kind of recording where you're gonna play to fans of the original and they're not gonna dig it. You're gonna play to fans of heavy music and they're not gonna dig it because it's not a heavy song. You're gonna play to fans of fucking. No one's really gonna pick this song up and put it on their playlist. It's just, and I'm talking about this cover, not the original. So you just gotta let it go.
I have a theory about this particular cover of Let It Go by James Bay, a song I've never heard, by a band called The Plot Anew, all in caps, a band I've never heard of. And I felt like listening to this that they were trying to do this super toned down, soft, almost cover, and just to prove they could do it, to show a huge contrast from their normal style. And briefly before we hit recording this right now, we listened to about 8 seconds of a couple of their songs, and it seemed a little more aggressive and screaming. Like, for real. So if we were missed the mark on this, fans of this particular band, I apologize. I'm an old fogey who doesn't know who the fuck they are. On the other hand, it does feel like it's so boring. It's like the dude's voice is nice, and the song is well made, and it does all it is supposed to do to the fucking checklist.
Yeah.
As a result, I am calling it really well made, boring shit.
Dude sounds like Daughtry. Song sounds like Daughtry.
Is James Bay a Daughtry guy?
I don't know. I've never heard the original either. And yeah, this didn't make an impression one way or the other. Except, again, I really like the dude's voice. The song is well produced. It's well made.
It's like...
Not a great song.
It's like there's no variations, really, throughout the whole thing. And if you consider it, this album is supposed to be punk covers of shit. So I'm not coming here for almost acoustic slow covers from that punk band of shit. I mean, you could have easily taken this song, shaved off a minute, increased the tempo, added a heavier drum rhythm, added a bit more of some of those growly, screamy things you guys do. And as long as you had done it right, hold on. As long as you have done it right, based on what I heard, y'all actually probably do have this ambiance sound already, so you could have killed it with your own shit, which is what we wanted, us people who don't know who you are, on an album called Punk Goes Pop. So for me, it was just a little bit like, it's a good song that totally didn't belong on this compilation, and it's a little sad because maybe the band could have killed it way more.
The record is too long. I know it's a compilation.
It would have worked if they had done better shit on this record. Cause
it's like, I really dig some of them, but whatever. This one gets a 3 for me because it's fine.
I give it a 3 too. It's sad, man. It's like, you want energy when you see the word punk. You don't want sleep when you see the word punk.
All right. I mean, I guess I don't want to live forever, so let's just move on to this next one.
Yeah.
Just wanna keep calling your name until you come back.
I don't know who ZAYN is, and frankly, never heard this Taylor Swift song, so King going in blind for this one. But it wasn't boring, unlike the last one, which was boring. This one, had the band's energy in it. It's clearly like it feels like they do what they do really well. Like this is their style. They have practiced this. The guys who scream know how to scream. They know how to harmonize it all, balance the clean vocals with the, I guess, dirty vocal. I don't know what the right word is. Is it dirty vocals? I don't fucking know. But the energy of the song and everything, and it like, it's not my favorite just because it's not my favorite genre, but it's like really well made for its genre. It doesn't hurt the song at all. Like I don't know if Taylor Swift sues over this shit. She might, but like I feel like. At least as long as they paid her, it's good, and it does some justice to it, and actually makes me go, maybe I'll put on this Tay Swizzy song here, because I'm a little bit more curious, because the way it's delivered here isn't boring, and it's sweet lyrics, and it does justice to showcase that maybe somebody like Taylor Swift has talent when you throw it in another light that's separated from her brand.
Okay, first off, T Sweezy for life.
Yeah, sure.
For life.
I politically hate her.
Love Taylor Swift. She's my favy. I stand by her. I like this cover. It was good. They got the whoa, whatever.
Yep.
Big fucking pop, whoa, sing along chorus down. They did it with the gang vocals. Super punk rock thing to do. I dug that. I dug most of it. Like again, it was a little too clean. I know you're covering pop, but there's been other tracks on this record that didn't feel like they had to do that so much. So, back off a little bit on the production. You're a fucking rock band, sound like a fucking rock band. But it's a good cover. It gets 3.5 from me.
I give it a 4.
It's cool.
No, like for real. Like I don't like Taylor Swift politically, but I can't deny her talent, right?
You mean you don't like Taylor Swift politically?
Oh, I think as an artist, she's one of the worst capitalist whores in the entire industry. I would back that up at another time. Maybe
I'll fight you.
That's fine. But, like, some of the stuff she's done has made me really not respect her. As a result, it's hard to like her as a person. That doesn't mean she's not a talented songwriter. Or if she writes, I don't really know enough about her to really judge her for the stereotypical things people would judge her for, right? I'm out of that conversation. But this cover does it really good justice. Ice 9 Kills they do it well.
Yeah.
And I saw they're on other Pop Go's albums, so maybe they've just got experience with this because they've done a few for the group before. And they just come in, they did it well. They didn't try too hard. They clearly tried. And I'd rather have something that's playing a little bit in the safe zone that delivers than either the lack of effort or the too much effort that we've seen a little bit of on this album already.
And they still managed to make this one their own. And you know what? Like if they do keep doing this, if this becomes their niche, doing whatever the pop covers to get attention, with each time they do it, they'll get a little closer to what.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't like the Chainsmokers, Haley or whatever the fucking person, Halsey or whoever's featured on it. I don't really like the song. A good buddy of mine liked the song. He listened to it a lot. I didn't like it. I got really bored of it, and I've never really been a big fan of the genre of repetitive pop people like the Chainsmokers make. It's just, I find it like it's really good when I'm drunk. Drunk Holden loves what the Chainsmokers do.
Yeah, and I mean, look, I've always said if you got to be high to listen to a song and enjoy it, then that's great when you're high, but it's probably not a good song.
And yet, Grammy nominated and everything. I don't know if it won. So evidently, somebody thinks this Closer song is really great. But then I heard it like this, and I actually listened to it, like really listened to it, and I heard the words. Yeah. And I heard the structuring at least they used, and I was like, I get it now. Okay. I have to give props to the original composition because I didn't like the delivery mechanism they used, but really it is good composition. Like as an example, there's this 7-minute orchestral piece Skrillex threw on his Bangarang EP, and honestly it contextualizes Skrillex in a way that makes him sound brilliant by putting his melodies with strings and everything. And sometimes just hearing electronic music with actual instruments shows you the real value of the song. Yeah. In a way you might not have perceived otherwise. So
that's fair because they can be structuring things in a classical sense, but just because it's an electronic sound, you don't get the same impression from it.
Yeah.
And if you set that to more acoustic instruments, then you really hear the way it's arranged and the way the harmonies work together and the way the rhythms work together in a different sense than if you're just in the club fucking high on M.
Or even drunk, where you're still probably just as fucking useless.
Yeah.
But in general, it made me kind of care more about this song. This is a version of the song I could listen to in a normal context of life while having that original. And sometimes it's okay to have multiple versions of it. I think it's one of my favorite part of covers is when something like this happens, is when the cover almost recreates the song in a way that allows me to then go back and appreciate the original because I saw what everyone else finally saw because it was like in another language or something. And
yeah.
This had that impact on me. I mean, it's not like the most amazing cover of fucking history, but it's really does what it's supposed to do as a cover. Like, it's not cookie cutter. It recreates the song using the band's identity in a way that pays the homage while giving me interest and etc. And I give it a 4. I thought it was a pleasant experience.
That's cool. I didn't know too much about the Chainsmokers going into this track. Like, I've heard this song before. I've heard one of their other songs before. It bored me. I'm not a huge fan. Having said that, this cover also, I liked it. It was cool, but it was also a little boring to me just because the song does nothing for me, really. I like the way the guitar kind of emulates the vocal line. I like the way they did that, you know. I like the way they adapted the arrangement of the original track, but it's just, it gets a meh. So it gets a 2.5 for me just because there was not, like, I'm not going to go back and listen to this again. I already forgot what it sounded like.
You know what?
We just listened to it 2 seconds ago.
But I don't know. Maybe it's because I love it so much. But every now and again, I do go back over. And if I was going to go bump this album again, I would spin the Closer track. I would put this on. Like, this is not the last time I'm going to hear it. Because sometimes I want some real generic pop. But I don't want it to sound like pop. I want it to sound like punk. And then I found this. And it was like the greatest patch of life. But this Closer song, it's pretty solid. It really, it would fit the right mood sometimes. It's just, man, I see where you're coming from. Maybe I'm just being biased in this one. I'm okay with that. It's covers. I'm not taking this review quite as seriously as original pieces, like you said.
I mean, look, I gave a bunch of 5s on this one just because I really felt the material being delivered. I didn't feel this one.
Feel you.
I felt like it just, you know, whatever. But we're almost done.
That's right.
We're almost done. The hill is almost climbed.
It's all in the name of love.
It's all in the name of love.
Come and meet me in the sky. Would you trust me when you're jumping from a...
Ooh.
We made it. Last track.
What a disappointing last track. Nah, I don't know. I never heard the Bebe Rexha. I only know her from fucking G-Eazy and Martin Garrix. I don't know who the fuck that is either. In general, I'm just like... I'm just kind of like, why was this the end? It was such a lukewarm, quasi-interesting feel to this song. Like it's like, it tries hard to be cool, but it's at such a slow, boring tempo, using such almost minimal feels to it while trying to throw some energy in, and everything just feels kind of fake and forced.
Yeah, again, back off with the fucking production. Like, this thing is so clean, and it's, you know, it's got the sound that a lot of fucking modern metalcore and a lot of modern gent that sounds like it's not really trying too hard. It's like the equivalent of pop candy for the metal world. Like, it's got the drums that you know were fucking like mapped out, and it's got like the rhythms are just fucking boring. I don't really know. I've heard the original. The original was kind of boring too. The lyrics are really cringeworthy. And this one's not getting a pass from me just because they're so upfront. The dude's got a good voice. But, again, to close it off like this.
2.5. This song had no soul. This song was like taking a song and they could have done something. Like, even the Closer, there was identity. And, like, the ones that I felt were decent had, like, identity in it. But, yeah, no. In general, this was just kind of like... what a fucking disappointing end of this album. I never want to hear this again. And maybe it's not like it's terrible. It's just that it goes into the generic fluffy bullshit that happens.
It's so melodramatic, and it's not even pop melodramatic. Like, this one is just metal melodramatic, and that's almost worse. Because, like, now you get the real sense that they're singing about, like, look how shitty my life is, even though it's not even their song. And it's just like, shut up, man. Grow some fucking balls. And again, I still think the record was too long. I think they could have cut 2 songs off of this thing.
They absolutely should have cut this one and ended on the Closer. That I would have been okay with. Closer was a decent track to end on, given the flow. I mean, the flow of the album wasn't shit. It was just that there were songs I found, a couple that were great, a couple that were mid-tier, and a couple that were just unacceptable. And this was an unacceptable one.
Yeah, this one gets a 2.5 from me, too.
Fair enough.
So how do you feel about the whole record?
This is not one of my favorite punk goes. Like, if you're trying to introduce somebody to the series, unless they're 19, don't show them this fucking thing. Because this was pandering straight up to a younger generation. That's why they chose these songs. The song choices were not meant to capture us. They were meant to go after the kids who otherwise have never heard of the series, to get them to go through the rabbit hole and find the older shit and get some strength. It just felt like, hey, we haven't done this in a while.
Yeah.
The magic's gone. We've covered all the fucking amazing tracks. What's left? And then and that bothered me because, no, there are great pop songs of other eras you could have thrown on here.
I mean, I still think there are some great pop songs. You know, you got Shape of You, you got What I Like, you got Can't Feel My Face. Like, there's some good pop on this thing.
Every other one of their albums had this good contrast of old music to new music. And
yeah.
I think it really created part of the charm. And this was just... like, all these songs were within the last 3 years.
A lot of new stuff, not a lot of variety.
Like, man, where's the like a prayers or shit like that they like? There was one that had like a prayer on it. Yeah, there was one that had like just good fucking interesting songs from like mega artists that are maybe a little safer to cover, but will ultimately give me as a listener a cooler experience and reach a more broad audience because it's a fucking compilation cover album. This shit is like targeting such a specific niche that it hurt it. So 3.5 on 5.
I mean, my thing is that a lot of it, again, was too clean. It didn't feel punk rock enough to be a fucking punk rock cover album. And if you're going to brand yourself that way, you need that danger. You need that sense of what's going to come next. And when it's just a lot of pop songs being covered by rock bands with pop production, then it doesn't work to market. It doesn't work to help the scene move forward at all, which I have a problem with, because the punk rock scene and the rock scene and the metal scene need people doing new things, and there is some interesting stuff on here. Check out that which one was it? It was the Boston Manor. Those guys did some crazy stuff with the middle of the Heathens cover, and there was
that New Year's Day with the Gangsta track that was
that
great.
one's really good too. There was a few really 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 solid covers on this, but there was just too many meh. Yeah, so this one gets a 3.5 from me too. I mean, listen to it, you might find something you like. Check out the earlier editions.
So I would say is go through there, and if you've heard the pop song and you're curious, click on it. But don't listen to this album. Listen to the ones that we thought were really good. That would be my recommendation.
We're always right.
But go back to the older albums because they have some fucking great gems hidden in the middle, and you could easily build out a 30-40 song playlist of Punk Goes covers that are just that excellent across the tenure of what they've done over the last, 15 years or so.
And go listen to Children of Bodom's cover of Oops, I Did It Again, because that's my favorite pop cover ever.
And I would highly recommend Marilyn Manson's Suicide is Painless, because it'll just fuck you up and make you not sleep.
Yeah, just go listen to Rick Astley.
There's lots of good
covers.
covers.
That's all you gotta do.
Anyway, so we'll end it now, and it was a pleasure having y'all with us. If you liked the video, please hit like, please hit subscribe. Let us know if you want us to cover more of this type of shit,
because this was kind of an experiment. We had nothing really to listen to this week, so we
threw on this random compilation album, and secretly Jay was quite pleased to skip this one. So
we'll give him shit for it next week.
That's right. But we'll be back at it with probably a solid album, probably the one that we were planning on doing this week because it got pushed a week, and we'll keep it running.
Spoilers.
Anyhow, so until the next time, it's been a pleasure. Keep in touch and all that.
Yeah, deuces.